You are 17 years old. You have never held a rifle before. You are standing in a frozen line somewhere far from home, under a gray sky that never seems to end. The officer in front of you does not ask if you are ready. He only asks one thing. Can you run? Because today you are not here to fight. You are here to survive. There are not enough rifles for everyone. The man beside you holds one. You do not. You have already been told the rule. When he falls, you take his weapon. No one laughs. No one questions it. Because everyone here understands. This is not training. This is reality. Behind you, other soldiers stand in silence. They are not there to guide you. They are there to ensure no one steps away. If fear takes over, if someone turns back, there are strict consequences. Not from the enemy, but from their own side. This is the Soviet front in 1941. Cold wind moves across empty fields. Men stand quietly waiting. No music. No speeches. Only the sound of distant movement and heavy silence. A man near you tries to step away. He does not get far. A sharp sound echoes in the distance. No one reacts loudly. Everyone already understands what happened. And you learn something instantly. This war does not begin with the enemy. It begins with pressure from every direction. Private first experience. You are a private. One among thousands. Not because you are unimportant, but because there are too many like you. Farmers. Students. Workers. Yesterday you had a name. Today you are part of a formation. Training was short. March. Basic handling. Following orders. That is all. No deep strategy. No long preparation. Because no one expects long survival. A man beside you refuses to move forward. Within moments he is removed from formation. No explanation follows. You realize hesitation is not an option here. The situation changed quickly. Borders shifted. Entire units disappeared into fast-moving conflict zones. You are moved into unknown territory. Unprepared. Under-equipped. But I'm still moving forward. Hours turn into days. The ground is cold. Food is limited. Sleep comes only when exhaustion wins. One morning the atmosphere changes. Distant sounds grow stronger. Not natural sounds, but structured heavy impacts in the distance. The officer does not explain. He only signals forward movement. And suddenly everything changes. You begin to move. Not toward safety, but toward uncertainty. The ground vibrates slightly. Men around you react differently. Some stay focused. Some hesitate. But movement continues. Because stopping is not an option. This is your first real experience of pressure. Not fear in theory, but fear in motion. And slowly something changes inside you. Fear does not disappear. It transforms. It becomes controlled. Focused. Silent. Because you begin to understand. This is not about winning. It is about surviving moments. One after another. And even when someone near you expresses doubt, you realize something important. If hesitation spreads, everything breaks. So silence becomes survival. But this is where things change. What happened next was not expected. And then everything breaks. Junior Sergeant, first responsibility. You are no longer just following. Now you're responsible for others. Not because you planned it, but because others above you are no longer there. You are now a junior sergeant. You lead a small group. Not trained professionals, but exhausted, uncertain people. Just like you were recently. They look at you. Not with trust, but with absence of choice. There is no one else. Blocking units exist behind the lines. Their purpose is not to fight the enemy, but to ensure no one retreats without orders. So they follow. Orders arrive. Some make sense. Some do not. Advance through open ground. Hold positions under pressure. Do not withdraw. Even when withdrawal feels like survival. You understand something. Orders are not suggestions. They are expectations. You look at your group. They wait for direction. Not hope. Just direction. So you repeat instructions. even when uncertainty exists, because hesitation spreads faster than fear. And in that moment, responsibility becomes real. Not in theory, but in weight. Because now, every outcome is connected to your decision. Even silence becomes a decision. Sergeant, urban environment. Time begins to lose meaning. Days and nights feel similar. Only events matter now. You are in a damaged city area. Buildings are partially destroyed. Streets are blocked with debris. Visibility is limited. This is close quarters movement. Every structure may hide danger. Every corner requires attention. You enter a building. Silence inside feels heavier than sound. Then a sudden movement from the shadows forces immediate reaction. Everything changes in seconds. You move carefully, step by step, room by room. Sometimes there is resistance. Sometimes there is silence. Both require caution. Your group no longer speaks much. Communication becomes minimal. Everyone understands without explanation. Supply becomes limited. Rest becomes rare. But movement continues. Orders remain constant. Hold position. Advance carefully. Maintain control of the area. And slowly realization forms. There is no guaranteed support. No immediate rescue. Only responsibility in real time. And the pressure increases quietly. Not in loud moments, but in constant awareness. Lieutenant decision making. Now you are responsible for direction. Not just movement, but outcomes. You lead a small unit. Numbers change constantly. Losses and replacements occur frequently. Orders come from higher command. Clear instructions. Advance. Secure position. Maintain pressure. But conditions on the ground are different. Defensive positions are strong. Visibility is low. Movement is risky. You understand the outcome before action begins. But order remains unchanged. Now you face a decision. The doctrine is simple. Not one step back. Not as advice, but as a survival rule. Proceed as instructed. Or attempt to reduce risk within limited flexibility. There is no perfect option. Only consequences. You look at your unit. They wait. Not for explanation, but for certainty. So you proceed. Because leadership here is not about comfort. It is about action despite uncertainty. And in that moment, you understand something deeply. Leadership is not about winning situations. It is about managing loss while moving forward. Captain scale increases. But this is where things change. What happened next was not expected. And then everything breaks. You don't think about victory. You don't think about the future. You only think about the next breath, the next step. Responsibility increases. So does complexity. You command a larger group now. But numbers fluctuate constantly. New members arrive frequently. Many have no experience. They rely on structure, not confidence. You plan movement, assign positions, coordinate timing. But reality is unstable. Conditions change rapidly. Information is delayed. So you adapt continuously. Not perfectly, but practically. And slowly, emotional distance increases. Not because you choose it. After one operation, nearly half your unit does not return. There is no pause. Replacement soldiers arrive the next morning as if nothing happened. But because survival requires focus, you stop seeing individuals in isolation. You see structure. You stop remembering names. Not because you want to, but because remembering makes decisions harder. Flow. Movement. Outcome. Because thinking emotionally slows decisions. And slow decisions cost results. Major system understanding. Now you operate at coordination level. Multiple groups. Multiple directions. Multiple unknowns. Reports are incomplete. Updates are delayed. Information is fragmented. You make decisions based on partial data. Always adjusting. Always correcting. And you begin to understand. The system is larger than any single decision. Everything becomes data. Positions. Status. Movement. Loss estimates. Emotion becomes secondary. Not absent. but controlled, because decisions must continue, regardless of uncertainty. Colonel's strategic pressure. You now coordinate large formations. Communication is indirect. Reports replace visibility. You rely on interpretation, not certainty. Sometimes silence is the only update. And silence has meaning. Units report stability, but you understand the underlying strain. Supply issues. Fatigue. Pressure. You request support, but resources are limited, distributed across multiple demands. So you prioritize. And every priority creates consequences elsewhere. You are also observed, not just militarily, but politically. Every decision is evaluated. So communication becomes careful, measured, controlled, because interpretation matters as much as action. General System LMITS. Now you see entire operational regions, multiple divisions, large-scale movement. But even now, you are not fully in control. Orders still come from higher authority, sometimes detailed, sometimes rigid. You evaluate reality and compare it with instruction. Sometimes alignment exists, sometimes it does not. But execution continues, because the system requires continuity. You understand. War is not just battlefield movement. It is coordination under uncertainty. And sometimes, conflict between logic and instruction. Marshal level. At the highest level, everything becomes abstract. Movement becomes strategy. Strategy becomes numbers. Numbers become decisions. You see entire fronts, large movements across regions, long-term objectives. But each symbol represents people, and every decision affects thousands. You realize, no decision is without cost, only different forms of consequence. And at night, when everything is quiet, memory returns, not as data, but as an experience. The young soldier, the first order, the uncertain decisions, the constant pressure. And you understand. You were all of them. And now, you carry all of it. War does not end with silence. It continues in memory. And those who survive never truly leave it behind.